So as an endless wave of news continues to trickle onto the internet for all to see, many of us, including myself, on the outside looking into this situation with Gamergate, IGN, Sweet Baby Inc., and everything else, I'd say that we are approaching a boiling point. Beginning with the real kicker from the IGN writer who decided to slam not only one of the most anticipated video games of the year, but also its creator when they wrote an article that called the character Eve from Stellar Blade over-sexualized doll and said that the creator had never seen a woman in his life, and they were extremely wrong about that. It was a very rude, very misguided, cruel article. It's so interesting because right after this happened, or at least either on the same day or the next day, this person melted down about the game again, and yet it appears that he is aiming his rage now at gamers specifically and not so much the game. And I'm going to show you exactly why before we move on to what appears to be an quote-unquote apology from IGN. But first, we got to go over this wonderfully translated post from Topec899 as per Grums mentioning that person. Check this out. So this is what the IGN France editor-in-chief says about Stellar Blade literally not aliving women. I don't know if this is the person who wrote it, but the editor-in-chief, I mean, I don't know what it is with editor-in-chiefs having meltdowns over gamers these days, but that is something that I have seen prevalent. We saw it with Kotaku before that editor-in-chief ended up resigning, but that is something that we've been seeing a lot of lately. But this person says right here, and this is the editor-in-chief, yes, no problem. Go tell that to the women who are hit, not alive, denigrated, or who self-delete because they cannot live up to the fictional standards expected by men. What in the world, dude? The problem is not the sexy design itself, except that it sucks compared to others, but hey, that doesn't matter, and really it doesn't matter. And of course, that's a subjective opinion, so I don't know why he would even put that in there other than to just make himself look even more like a jerk than before. But the percentage of males who will only want this type of fictional body in reality. So he's saying, it's not the game that I had a problem with. No, that's not the issue at all. You see, it's the gamers who like it. Those gamers who enjoy Stellar Blade, who liked the demo, who liked the gameplay, and liked how beautiful the girl is, it's their fault. They're the problem, and they need to be dealt with. So he's taken his rage that he was aiming at the creator of the game and the game itself, and now he has shifted the blame over to the gamers, completely foregoing any kind of self-accountability for what he has said. And he goes on to say, obviously we understand that this does not shock people who think that women are objects who must obey and be beaten. So he's relating all of these gamers who are speaking out against either IGN's opinion, his opinion, or just are fans of Stellar Blade. He's saying that you guys believe that women are objects who must obey and be beaten. What kind of rhetoric is that, by the way? Who in the world believes that or talks about just beating women when talking about video games? I haven't heard anything like that. Have you guys? But that's okay. Let's move on. This design makes us sigh and roll our eyes, and we laugh at anyone who needs it, man or woman, but that's it. By the way, men and women both love this game. They're all very excited. This is one of the most anticipated video games out there. I mean, is this really the hill you're choosing to die on when the facts are clearly stacked up against you and the perception that people have of you is so overwhelmingly negative that you literally cannot miss it? You have to take some accountability here, because the things that they're going on to say about gamers, I mean, this is worse than the article itself saying that this person's never seen a woman, but they're going on to straight up attack against normal, innocent people who have nothing to do with it. But he says the certainly clashing remark in the text, which targets the entire creative process. Oh, okay. Not necessarily a specific designer or the game director. Did we all read the same article? If you look at the post right here, look, it says from the article itself, it's not new and other games have chosen to highlight the strengths of their female characters, but where a Bayonetta stands out with an iconic character design, or a 2B from Nier Automata inspires an entire generation of cosplayers. That was cover for all of the bad things that they've said about Bayonetta and Nier Automata in the past. They were trying to cover down so that they could justify this quote-unquote over-sexualized character. And then they go on to say Eve from Stellar Blade is just bland, a doll sexualized by someone who has never seen a woman. But he says it's not a specific designer or the game director. This is obvious to anyone who knows a little French. Only has this impact because a good portion of gamers have become too fragile due to being fed the patriarchy. Wow, okay. I'm so glad they decided to include this word in their rhetoric, because that paints a whole new type of picture. Now I'm seeing an anti-male narrative here. I don't know what it is that these people at IGN and other gaming companies and defenders of Sweet Baby Inc. all have a problem with male gamers. I don't know why they have a problem with dudes who play video games, but that is what I'm seeing here. Being fed the patriarchy, just enjoying video games. How many video games has this person played? Have they even seen the types of video games that have come out over the last 20 years or so? Some of the most successful video games on earth have beautiful women in them, or you even star as beautiful women in those successful video games. Stellar Blade is #1 right now in many countries for pre-orders. Grum says this in a post about Stellar Blade. The creator, Kim Hyung-tae, worried about Western journalists slamming his game. So now the creator is speaking out about these news outlets that are slamming the game. So he says, let's show him some love, and replies, journalists have no power. Looking at pre-orders, Stellar Blade is on track to be #1 worldwide. I will show you guys what the creator said, but check this out. #1 pre-order in USA, Japan, China, Korea. Look at all these countries, the UK, Switzerland, Sweden. #1. You're just going to die on the hill of writing off all gamers. Do you really think that it's just dudes that are pre-ordering this game and getting excited about this game? Honestly, you really think that it's just dudes? And while we're at it, do you really think that it's just regular women? No, beautiful women probably want to play this game too. They're just generalizing. They have no facts to back up their ridiculous claims while they're writing off gamers, calling them patriarchists and women beaters. That's just insane, guys. These are professional writers. These are supposed to be writers for professional gaming news outlets. I can't believe what I hear from these people sometimes. So when you see this, the creator did say something and it was translated so that we could all read it. I mean, these people are awesome translating stuff for us to check out. But the interviewer said, related to this, some Western media outlets have expressed their discomfort with the portrayal of female characters in Stellar Blade. Are you aware of these issues? And he's like, heck yeah, I'm aware. So he says, I know that in the West, game characters have to reflect realistic appearances in many ways. I mean, even to just like the detriments of the video game and the player playing as that character, like making them as ugly as possible. If you want a great example of that, just check out Fable from Xbox. Now, seeing the things that Xbox is saying, that whole thing makes a lot more sense now. But he says they have to reflect the realistic appearances in many ways, and that many issues like gender and racial diversity are intertwined, because we're seeing a lot of that lately, and gamers are pushing back on that, of course. However, Stellar Blade is only a cultural and entertainment product, which is something that they've been saying from the very beginning, and what other gamers have been saying from the very beginning. And yet you still have hack writers from these news outlets going on the podcasts and talking about how evil gamer males are for liking women in video games. Like, they're getting so mad that people want to play this video game. I don't know what they have against it and why beautiful women are such a huge issue to these people. I mean, this is just nature. This is how humanity operates. They like beautiful people and beautiful things. He says, I hope you will keep an eye on this as a fun action game has just been released. Remember how I said that I didn't get a chance to play the demo? Well, I did. I enjoyed the Souls-like features of this game. It has very Souls-like gameplay. It focuses a lot on defensive capabilities. The animations look great. The graphics look great. I think the faces of the women are really unique looking as well, and their conversations and their voice actors do a really good job. It's not like the craziest game in the world. It feels a little bit linear for now, but this game looks like a fun time, and it does have a protagonist that is visually pleasing. But this is nothing new. This has been a prominent thing in video games for many years. Some of the most talked about women in entertainment are video game characters, including Tifa, Aerith, and Harley Quinn, Blood Rain, Tomb Raider. I mean, you name it. If you're a gamer, you know your female characters, okay? This is nothing new. These people are making such a huge issue out of it, and that's why we have IGN themselves coming out and trying to apologize on behalf of that IGN France writer. So this is the apology from IGN. So they said, recently IGN France produced and published a preview of Stellar Blade containing an offensive passage that should never have been kept. The text has now been edited, and here is our official apology to the Shift Up Corporation studio staff. So this is to the staff of Shift Up, the guys who made Stellar Blade. Also, please note that IGN France is an independent branch of IGN, and that IGN's editorial staff had nothing to do with the incident. They're like, hey, we have nothing to do with this, okay? IGN France, that's their own element. But, you know, realistically, they should have a little bit more say in what these independent branches of their company say. I mean, you're all supposed to reflect the same values across the board, are you not? I understand that journalists have different opinions, but there's also something called journalistic integrity, which is not something that I have been seeing from IGN lately. And this French writer who's going off and calling males a bunch of woman beaters, that is the most unprofessional behavior I've seen come from an adult. These people are acting like children, but they're grown-ups, right? And it says right here, the original text of the Stellar Blade preview contained comments that were out of place. While it was never our intention to disrespect Shift Up or any of its employees or their work, we recognize that the phrase taken in its literal sense was inappropriate and we regret it. I don't know what other kind of sense you're supposed to take it in. It seemed pretty on the nose. He said that it was an over-sexualized doll and that the creator had never seen a woman. It's ridiculous, man. It's like they're apologizing, but they're not really. They're trying to like beat around the bush a little bit. And what for? If IGN France is so independent of the main IGN branch, then why is it that you're tiptoeing around the issue? But they do say that we regret it to anyone at Shift Up Corporation who felt personally targeted and insulted by this passage. We are truly sorry and sincerely apologize. And you know, I do have to hand it to IGN for at least stepping up and trying to apologize, however tiptoey it may seem to some people. And I totally do not blame them for thinking that way. Not even Grums is 100% sold on the apology. He said himself, here is IGN attempting to apologize for attacking the creator of Stellar Blade. He said, sorry, maybe when you stop botting your traffic, I'll believe you. And I know that he's being serious about that because he literally tagged Elon Musk talking about how IGN is being hit the hardest by bots. He also says, where is your apology for that and duping your investors and what little audience you have left with fake traffic? So yeah, it's not a perfect 100 out of 100 when it comes to believing IGN. IGN has said some pretty wacky things in the past. Now, personally, I don't think that it's on the level of Kotaku, where they've just outright spewed racism and hateful sexist rhetoric at white males for zero reason at all, other than to defend their articles. But if there is anything that I have to hand IGN, it is the fact that they actually came out and sincerely, they at least tried to say they apologized to the creator. Some people speculate that they just want those sweet early review codes. But you know, that's up for speculation. And if you think the sweet baby stuff is over, no, it's only getting worse. Those reporters that we have been talking about for weeks now have only ramped up their attacks on both Grums and other people who associate with him and other people who are critical of Sweet Baby Inc. related products. And with Stellar Blade hitting all of these countries' #1 spots in pre-order sales, it's looking like this game is probably going to be one of the most successful video games of this year. I don't know if it's going to be one of the most successful games of the decade, but it is highly anticipated. It's getting very similar hype to Hogwarts Legacy, but I have no idea exactly how many people have pre-ordered this game. And it's going to be interesting to see how the media either transforms their rhetoric towards the Stellar Blade creators and the team, or if they're going to double down on their attacks, because what it looks like here is a double down from the editor-in-chief himself for IGN France. But then on the US side, you have IGN saying, hey, like, we don't agree with that. But I think that you guys need to get a handle on your people. You really do, because they're making you guys look bad. I'm not all for cancel culture. I'm just saying, when you have people coming out and saying horrible things about men and accusing the creator and other people who like her as never seeing a woman before, just writing off such a huge portion of the gamer base, I'm telling you, man, it's going to make your company look bad. And they probably recognize that that's what's happening, which is probably why they're coming out on behalf of gamers rather than on behalf of that writer from France. So yeah, these two branches are in friction and gamers are caught in the middle. But who's going to come out on top? And that is what I'm wondering. But that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't had the chance to like it and share it with your friends, that would be awesome. And hey, if you're feeling ultra spicy, consider subscribing to my channel so that you're always up to date on what kind of thing I've got going on. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Later. Meow, meow.